Hello everyone, my name is Rochelle Innocent and I'm the founder and CEO of Project Purpose. Welcome to our channel. Our community is focused on fostering the intellectual and character development in children. We do this through our parent-child workshops that are focused on 4 themes: autonomy, self-efficacy, compassion, and self-concept, in order to cultivate grit, perseverance, and resilience in each child. And we are so thrilled to be offering one of the first of its kind digital, virtual, and continuous learning environments, enabling parents and children to connect from all around the world. At Project Purpose, our overarching mandate is to renew and rebuild family, community, and relationships. Our different social media platforms provide us with an opportunity to have discussions and to create space on all topics that relate to family, community, and relationships with ourselves as well as with others, with a primary focus on mental health and education. More precisely, the ways that the institutions of mental health and education play a role and have played a role in our societies at large. These discussions and debates provide us with an opportunity to think critically about what needs to change within these structures for us to live up to our bold slogan: support, protect, and empower each child through youth-focused development, better known as leadership in juvenescence. We recognize that in valuing our children's leadership potential, this also translates as recreating and co-creating environments, both socially and politically, that will enable our children to thrive. For those of you who are particularly keen on the topic, we also write thought pieces every other Monday. We actually have a thought piece scheduled to drop this upcoming Monday, so definitely be sure to meander over to the website and check out our online content. Now, if it is the case that you're looking for a listening alternative, well, we're available wherever podcasts are playing, and we've provided you with access to a few links in the description down below. Now, as is the convention, I'm going to ask that you subscribe. I'm not that great at growth strategy, but if you do find yourself attuned and interested in the video, you find yourself listening partway through the video even, then definitely subscribe, support, join the community of game changers. Let's get started. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another segment here on Project Purpose. For those of you who are new, we cover topics that relate to mental health, mental wellness, and education on a week-by-week basis, and today's topic of discussion is education. On the conversation on education, I want to talk about the difference between thinking deeply and thinking critically, and oftentimes we confuse the two, but there is a demarcation, and that demarcation is important. So I want to talk about that because I want to give every single one of us the opportunity to think critically, and sometimes we make the mistake of thinking that because we're thinking deeply about a topic that means immediately that we're thinking critically about it. But you can think deeply about a topic if, let's say, you were introduced to a point or two on a given topic area, and now you're finding yourself ruminating on those points. You're finding yourself reflecting and feeling a lot of different things and developing beliefs and attitudes around that point, and maybe even sometimes, in some cases, engaging in conversation around those couple of points. And so that can be the product of thinking deeply, but honestly, it doesn't necessarily translate as thinking critically if you only have 1 or 2 or maybe 3 salient points on a topic that has like 100 points that you need to cover. So you need to recognize that if you don't have at least the majority of the information at your disposal, all preferably of the information at your disposal, but if you don't have at least majority of the information at your disposal, including the information that isn't in alignment with your belief and with your point of view, then you're not in a position to think critically about it yet. And oftentimes what I find takes place is you find a lot of sensationalism going around and a lot of extreme positions taking place because people are really rooting themselves for 1 or 2 or 3 points on a given topic area and then ignoring all the rest, right? All of the rest kind of fades into the background, when in order to be able to have a thoughtful and critical discussion on a given topic, you need to have more than the points that you agree with. It needs to be more than the points that you feel passionate about. And I found that a lot of this was taking place during the pandemic, where we had a lot of people taking up factions specific on 1 or 2 or 3 salient points and kind of ignoring the rest of the information that might neutralize the gravity of a specific point. And so for me, I am someone who likes to, even when it is the case that I find myself alignment to a point of view, I want to know what the alternative point of views are. I want to know, well, why do people believe differently? Why do people feel passionately about the different ways that they approach this given topic? And if I can understand where they're coming from? Like, how can we have a thoughtful and critical conversation that allows us to consider both perspectives and not always with the objective of persuading one another? And I find that it's very hard to think critically and have a thought-provoking conversation if all you're looking to do is to prove your point or to enforce your point. And so I think that thinking critically gives you the opportunity to weigh in by looking at a problem 360. To look at a problem 360, you're gonna have to know as much as you can know about the problem, not just the things that you want to know or the things that align to you. You want to make a concerted effort to be fully informed, to be a participating part of the conversation. And I find that a lot of people don't really care about being fully informed, and that's why you have some of those trolls or some of those rage mongerers who go online, who pick a point or 2 points, and really their objective is to solicit rage. And we can feel ourselves getting pulled into that kind of manipulation, but we can recognize, well, hey, this is 1 or 2 salient points that they're obviously fixated on because maybe it gives them the reaction they're looking for. But if I want to engage in this conversation, have a thought-provoking conversation, and think critically about this conversation, let me find out different perspectives. Let me get as much information as possible from as neutral a source as possible. And I think that that is just, if everyone did a little bit more work than what we're doing now to give ourselves more periphery on a given topic area, especially the topic areas that we're passionate about, to give ourselves at least an understanding as to why someone would believe differently without necessarily having the objective of disproving those beliefs, I find that you're in a much better position to argue your points effectively if you have as much arsenal in your background by way of why you believe the things that you believe, but also having a really thorough understanding of why someone believes an alternate belief, and finding at least some area of empathy there, or some area where, you know what, you can understand why they would believe it that way because, you know, they're looking at it from this perspective, and maybe here are some points that they're not taking into consideration. If they were to take those points into consideration, well, would that shift and change their point of view? And if it wouldn't, well, why? And I think that being curious, asking those questions, asking why, rather than forcing our point of view on each other, it gives us the opportunity to create space for difference, to create space for thought-provoking conversations amongst people who have differences in their opinions and their points of view, and to respect those differences in opinions and points of view. And so that's what I consider to be the demarcation between thinking critically and thinking deeply. We can think deeply about a given topic if we hear 1 or 2 points, and those points engage us enough that we can really spend a lot of time thinking of those 2 or 3 points. But if we find ourselves really finding passion and thinking about that, then the next best step is to think critically, is to give yourself the arsenal required to think critically about that point. In order to think critically about something, you need to know as much as possible, as much as there is to know about that given topic, to be able to engage in thoughtful conversations and all of the different themes that can stem from one subject area. So I want to come in here and talk about that. I want to give you that food for thought so that maybe the next time that you find yourself really feeling passionate about a given topic, that you give yourself the opportunity to not just think deeply about the topic because of, you know, the areas that have stimulated your passion, but to also think critically about it, which means giving yourself the opportunity to learn as much as you can possibly learn about a given topic and appreciating the different points of view. It doesn't mean you need to agree with them. It doesn't mean that you need to align to them, but you need to at least understand where those points of view are coming from. Like, have a sense as to, well, why would someone take this position, and why would a rational person take this decision or take this position, and then move forward in thoughtful debate from there. So that was the point of view that I wanted to share with you today, the difference between thinking critically and thinking deeply. Hopefully it gives you some food for thought and something to consider the next time you want to engage in a thoughtful and critical conversation with a topic that means a lot to you. Now, as it relates to my stalking situation, there's no information to date. I don't have anything to give you, but as soon as I do, I definitely will. Thank you again for tuning in, and we'll talk to you all very soon. We'll talk to you later.